This man we'll call Boon is a rice farmer from northern Thailand, a man human rights advocates say became a modern-day slave in the United States.
Inside my heart, I cry because I sacrificed to come to United States to work.
We track Boon's story back to Lampong, Thailand, where the average family lives on about $125 a month. We're not using his real name to protect his family. Boon says in 2003, Thai recruiters who worked here told him he could earn in 2 weeks in the U.S. what he made in a whole year toiling in the rice paddies of Thailand. He says the recruiter told him his expenses, travel, and housing would be paid for by Global Horizons, a multi-million-dollar corporation that supplied foreign workers to American farms under the U.S. Temporary Agricultural Worker Program. But he'd have to pay the recruiter about $9,300 US up front. So Boon borrowed money and mortgaged ancestral lands to pay the fee. Then he and 30 other farmers were flown from Bangkok to Los Angeles, where they were met by an agent of Global Horizons. From there, he says, they were sent to Honolulu, where the government claims company representatives confiscated their passports. At this pineapple farm, Boon says they lived in freight containers for several days with no running water, electricity, or bathroom. The farm was so remote, he says, they had to forage for food. They labored in the field 8 hours a day. Boon says they were never paid a cent for their work. After Hawaii, Boon and a group of workers were sent to the fields of Maryland, Mississippi, and Georgia. In the 7 months Boon worked for Global, he says he was not paid for all the hours he worked, and that the $4,000 he did receive didn't even cover half of his recruiting fee. On the other side of the world, Boon's family worried about him.
My son kept asking when father would be home. We told him he had to stay there to work and pay off his debt.
Last year, the Department of Justice indicted Global Horizons CEO Mordecai Orion on charges that Global conspired with Thai recruiters to commit forced labor of 600 Thai workers, charges Orion calls absurd.
How can be human trafficking when all the government helping us to bring those people in?
Workers advocate Chansey Martorell, head of the Los Angeles-based Thai Community Development Center, says greater oversight is needed to prevent the exploitation of labor.
It is the fastest growing form of human trafficking around the world, contracted labor.
Orion is out on bail in the criminal case and awaiting trial. He says he never took a cut of the recruiting fees, that his workers lived in clean apartments, not squalid freight containers. Orion also denies confiscating the workers' passports. He says Boon and the others are testifying against him in exchange for special visa status that allows them to stay in the U.S. and bring their immediate families.
You will promise legal, you'll do green card, you'll do anything. Everybody knows that around the world.
Boon hopes to stay in the U.S., and since leaving Global Horizons, he's been working as a cook. But he says he lost what cannot be replaced, the deeds to his ancestral lands and time with his son. After 8 long years, Boon was finally able to see his wife and his son, now a young man, and elderly mother, face-to-face via Skype. Boon's mother is pleading with him to come home, but under his special visa, he cannot leave the U.S. yet. Maybe in 3 years, he tells her, if he gets his green card. But she doesn't know if she will see that day. Thelma Gutierrez, CNN, Los Angeles.